Good day, dear Wastelanders. Sanctuary Stonemason here, and welcome to a little video I've put together to talk about some of the tips and tricks I used to build the monumental and now legendary Sanctuary City. But before we get into that, can I just say a huge thank you to everyone who's watched the build tour already, and an even bigger thank you to everyone who's subbed as a result. It means a whole lot to get some validation of the lunacy that is putting together these builds, so if you haven't already, please check out the full tour, give me a like, give me a sub, and hit that notification bell. But let's crack on and deal with some of the ways I put together the new biggest city in the Commonwealth. Now, there has been some understandable doubt as to the use of mods on this build, and I aim to assuage those questions with this video, but I'll stress again up front that I only use the very basic Scrap That Settlement mod to clear some of the grass and general rubbish, but everything else is either vanilla, DLC, or Creation Club. So, with that, let's crack on. Okay, so first up, let's deal with what was easily the most popular question in the comments section, is how to beat the build limit without mods, and the answer is a wonderful thing called the weapons glitch. And to do this, we're going to need a whole load of weapons, which you can see me pick up just then. In a nutshell, the action of dropping weapons in a settlement and entering build mode and storing the weapons in workshop will trick the build limit into reducing. If you keep your eye on the top right of the screen in a moment, you'll see it reduce the more the weapons are stored. Now, a few things to bear in mind are that firstly, the more customized parts attached to a weapon, the more it will affect the build limit. So it's a good idea to build a healthy store of maxed out weapons, as it makes the process of resetting the build limit quicker. Secondly, and most importantly, this is a risky process. In my experience, and I speak as a PS5 user, resetting the build limit 3 times is pretty stable, 4 times is problematic, 5 times you run the risk of issues such as corrupted save files, crashes, frame rate drops, and disappearing assets. Some of which you'll see if you stick around to the end for my builder's commentary as I walk around the settlement. That all said, that's the secret to no mod build limit management. Now in at number 2 with the list of questions and mod accusations is how can I build structures like those that populate the main street without using a place anywhere mod? The answer is simple, the practice not so much. The way I build is to manipulate the build system's snap characteristics to be able to jump in build pieces where they otherwise wouldn't be accepted. Now be mindful of the fact that this is a trial and error process, and I've edited out the several attempts it took to locate that initial keystone piece that allows me to build over the top of the building here. But once you do have that sweet spot, it will just be a case of manipulating and wiggling to get what will become a usable foundation. Once you have the foundation, the world is your oyster. Now there are other methods that you'll see out there from various different builders that utilize the pillar glitch, etc. But for me, this method, although occasionally fiddly, allows the most control. And when it comes to the later stages of builds such as this one, where space can become a premium, it's certainly a superior strategy. Now, as you're about to see as this build progresses, whenever you're tricking the build system, it can get awkward and sensitive, but perseverance is key. But that said, if you haven't at least seen a hint of green when trying to place an object, as the highlighting can be very fleeting at first, the chances are you're defeated and you may have to try a different path. Either a different build piece, i.e. some floor pieces will snap into places it shouldn't be easier than others, or more dramatically, you may have to start again entirely. Because I cannot stress enough that with that keystone piece, sometimes a millimeter of height can make all the difference as to whether or not something like this is going to work. It's very much a case of figuring out what pieces are the most forgiving. For example, the warehouse pieces all seem to be quite friendly when it comes to asking them to be where they're not supposed to be, but the early pieces from the wood and metal menus can be the most stubborn and the more reluctant to be open to experimentation. Okay, so now that we have a basic base to our building, I'll show you a second technique I use to help blend the new foundations into the existing structure. This is using something called the rug glitch. Again, this involves using the stairs as a way of building a temporary structure that allows me to slide pieces in and add some wasteland detail and help our building look as if it's sprung from the old. For those of you who don't know, the rug glitch is the principle of using an inherent property of the building system, namely that if you place an item on a rug and move the rug, the item moves with it. With the rug glitch, we can create a cascading row of rugs that will allow us to place certain parts again, where otherwise they wouldn't be allowed to be by the build system. Now, one thing to bear in mind with the rug glitch is that it will only work on items that aren't subject to the snap mechanic, which includes things such as walls and roof pieces. But wonderfully, the junk wall pieces I'm about to use don't suffer the snap, so they become an invaluable tool for building a used-looking feature. I challenge you, having watched me do this technique in a second, to watch back the full settlement tour and try and guess how much time I must have spent doing this. Many rugs were scrapped in the making of the settlement. So first we build a little cascade of rugs, and then we add a junk wall, which is found in the fences section. Then we grab the first rug of the cascade and we can get to the placing. Now you'll notice I always try and get some elevation in the rug placement at first, i.e. it was off the curb, as it makes it a lot easier to see when the item is successfully placed and will move when you move the cascade. But once you've got it going, you'll see, and then you can start putting things in. You see, I can just slide that into the wall placement. No mods required. And then genuinely it's just a case of doing that over and over again. Now a little technique here is to spin the walls around so the struts face out this time and they start to look a little bit more like a supporting structure. Now, as potentially straightforward as these methods are, they are the bedrock of how I put together the main structures of Sanctuary City. There are, of course, many other build tricks, obviously, so if you are interested more in it, then watch my how to builds, both existing and upcoming, and you'll pretty much learn everything I know. And there we have it. I will say the only thing that separates the finished product and the guide you've just seen is a whole load of time and patience. But mainly time and healthy acceptance of mild spectrum-based obsessive tendencies. But I hope that's helped and pointed out a few tips to help achieve some special builds without the use of mods. And it's with that, I'll give you a quick demo of how I built the treehouse that dominates the nightlife center of Sanctuary City. So as you can see, it starts very much in a similar manner as to the previous building. We are looking to place a set of stairs to act as a keystone to let us to build a framework around the tree. Once you got the frame in, we can start looking to see how the snap works. It is very much more trial and error building a treehouse. I have seen people use the pillar glitch quite successfully. If you want to know what that is, then Google it up to build some treehouse structures. But this is the way I built mine. Again, I just think it gives a bit more control. I think the problem with the pillar glitch is that once you've placed it, you are committed to it. Whereas with this, if I can just get it in and sort of working in principle, then we're good to go. Now, that was an example of what I talked about earlier, is that some floor pieces are more forgiving than others, but what you'll notice there, as soon as I move it, it won't go back in. Now, this is a little trick to use. As you open the menu and open the floor, it goes in. So that's just one of many little foibles and tricks that can be manipulated. Now, I clearly decided I wanted a different kind of flooring for some reason, so I think I'll put a little cut in here. But as I have done a cut, I'm just going to show you on the mod load that I am not using anything but Scrap That Settlement. This is a mod-free build, apart from the scrap mod. I mean, whilst I'm building this, we'll take a little moment to discuss it, because I imagine that some people still would argue that I don't have the right to call it a no-mod build. I mean, I think it's unfair, and I think that's why, and not least because the YouTube algorithm is very much set up to favor no mod search functions for some reason. But also, arguably, I haven't built with a mod. I've deleted with a mod, so it is a no mod build. And that's my argument, and I will die on that hill. Again, as you'll see, that flooring, I can't remember, I think that comes with the Slocum Joe build pack, that dashing flooring there. It is nice. You'll see, again, if you watch my outposts on you how to build, is if you're ever trying to trick flooring into being somewhere it potentially shouldn't be, all of both the Slocum Joe and the Nuka Cola pack flooring. It seems to work quite well. But yeah, as you can see, we've got a nice 2-story effect on this treehouse. Now, I believe what's coming up here is a demonstration of what I should have done on my initial build, in the Settlement City build, which is put the supporting pillars in before you do all of the, because they'll snap in nicely, like so. Because again, a lot of people I've seen do floating tree houses, which I don't like because that thing's huge and it would just fall down. So I like putting in the thing, but I didn't, and you'll see later. I'll also give you an example of what I actually did, and it was painful. But yeah, once you've got your floor in, you are ready to go. It's just a case of, I liked it. It definitely works well. The wood, the sort of junk walls, not junk walls, you know what I mean? The wood frame walls. And like with the other structure, once you've got your floor in, you've got your foundation, you're ready to go, and it's fun at that point. I think with many things, as is with life, once you have your foundations, everything becomes a lot easier to achieve. Then it becomes about taste and purpose and imagination. By purpose, I've always got a fairly clear idea of what I want to use a building for. I don't exactly go into full town planning mode, but it's very much with Sanctuary City. As I built around, I knew that it was every building and what it was going to be for. Which I'll go into more later when we go through our building commentary. For anyone looking for nerd ASMR, this nerd will give you a full rundown of what the thought process was behind all of the building. I wish I'd kept all the footage. Oh well, I kind of wish I kept all the footage of the build and I could put you together a full how to build of this settlement. But it took forever and I wasn't thinking about it. And to be honest, I genuinely don't think I'd have the time to edit it. It's a huge build. But that said, I am working on a massive build at Spectacle Island at the moment, and I have been storing all the footage so I think for once, and I will put together a huge build guide for that one. So please like and subscribe. As you can see, everything's gone in pretty cool. I think, if memory serves, I run into an issue with our piece of ceiling here. But everyone loves a skylight. Especially one with a big tree poking through it. But yeah, I think that works pretty well as a technique. It looks really cool. Especially when it's made into a dashing nightclub. I think that is kind of a metaphor for this kind of build, is that if you're not going to use mods, sometimes you just have to accept that it's part of the build. You have to adapt to what the limitations of the system are, and there are many limitations. So yes, this is how I put the support beams in for mine, is that I realised it wouldn't snap, and I had completely finished everything, and I couldn't be bothered to unbuild all the walls, put the pillars in, so I did it by eye. And there we have it. No, I didn't do all the pillars, but you get the idea. Looking stunning in the fog. As you see, just because you can tell I'm not letting this go. With no build mods. One of the main reasons I can build the way I do is that I have invested in Creation Club content, and I know that this can be controversial in that I'm not a huge fan of pay-for content either. I'm alright with this because, to be fair to Bethesda, I got the game free via my PlayStation account, so I didn't actually buy the game, so I don't mind giving them a bit of money. But in my defense, the reason I've bought it is that I'm an obsessive, and as soon as I got into building settlements, I wanted as much stuff as possible, and that was the way I thought I would expand what I could do. Look, the Tesla workshop's there. That's the VR workshop where the palm trees are included, for all those in the comments who are doubting. And things like the settlement ambush kit, where you can get the security-based stuff, so you get barbed wire, CCTV, sandbags, some new junk walls, and a load of cool stuff. But yeah, that's where the variety comes from. So, I don't know, if you're into building, it's worth dropping a couple of quid or bucks and picking up a few new pieces to look at. But also make sure you've got out there and collect all the Picket Fences magazines in-game as well, because there's loads of cool things in there. Things like the flamingos that you'll see lying around, etc. They come from collecting a Picket Fence magazine. I'll probably do a video at some point talking about that kind of thing. But yeah, check it out. And that's where the arcade cabinets come from. Someone was asking about that. Okay, for those of you that have stuck around to the end of the video, I'm just going to do a little chat. I think, if you will, let me know in the comments whether you like this kind of thing or you want me to shut the hell up. But yeah, all I can do at this stage is talk to you about the thought processes and the creative processes that I had to decide what to do at which point. I mean, from the off there, I've just shown you that there is no mods. For the final time, I'll stop going on about that. I mean, everything, as you've seen, those two, that's why I chose to start these videos with that kind of the guides, because it shows you how I did it. It was all the same processes. Now, for me, the thought pattern was at the front end of this would be where I'd keep sort of the military buildings. This is at the hub, the Minuteman capital in my mindset. That was the thought process behind putting this together. So the opening at the gatehouse, you got security, as I've just mentioned. That's from the settlement ambush pack. So this is where people would be processed who weren't recognized, traders, etc. And there's a trading station at that front end. That trading station comes from completing a quest line at Bunker Hill. If you talk to the female trader in there, you can start a quest line, and by the end of it, you talk to the lady who's in charge. And once you've completed all of that, that's me shooting the bottles, by the way, to prove that I have placed them all manually. Once you've completed the leader of Bunker Hill's quest lines, you end up with that trading station. This is all stuff from the Vault Tech pack and contraptions for the manufacturing, etc. I believe that nuclear gen there is also from contraptions. So now we move around. So yeah, this is the Minuteman Lodge, I thought would be a good. And then the way I build those bars, I think I'll turn around and look, you'll notice there's two little rugs. So I've just rug glitched them in, and they look like you can put angles in. Yeah, general feel of a military lodge. Lots of dead animals on the wall, guns on the wall. And then my thinking was that this is after the fall of the Institute, that the railroad would become some kind of secret service to the Minutemen's military. That's a Mia. You can buy them from Tinker Tom, by the way. And I think they cost 0 credits, and you can just become. I think I've stuck one on the roof, if you pay attention as well, which is where he would want it. But they come nice little props. Yeah, these security gates there again from the settlement ambush pack. So as you can see, that's the similar process. You can see the flooring, the structures, etc. Again, it was just a lot longer. It was a lot more trial and error, a lot more making sure that everything was where it was supposed to be. Nice little bits of armor there. Not sure why the railroad would need armor, but it was something that I thought would look pretty. And then give them a nice little military barracks to sleep in upstairs. I think someone in the comments was talking to me about how that I went over the height exception, but I didn't. As you can see, there's a guard up there, and I think this is the highest point, pretty much the highest point in the whole build. I think just for anybody who's interested on how I put together the runways, the walkways between all the bases, if you have a look on part 3 of my Outposts Zamonia how to build, I do a specific guide. If you check the chapters, I do a specific guide on how to put runways between 2 randomly placed buildings. Because obviously you can't snap between them. I think this is my Minuteman dining room. I thought this is where Preston, Garvey, etc. would have dinner. So yeah, I'm just showing you there, that table, again, there's a sort of, what's the word? item to item, it's different. You'll see me use this strategy a few times, strategy a few times across the build. There's like two similar items will run into each other. It tends to be, if you place two of them next to each other, you will push from, so that item, there you go, I've just shown you, will just sit on top of it so you can sort of blend things together. But you'll notice this kind of weird glitchy thing in the middle, but I just choose to, either I'll cover that with something or just choose to ignore it. Yeah, you can see there's the city sprawling in front of us. And then this is my research and development center with fetching chrome T60 armor on the intros. Again, just the same technique here, just with 4. There's no glitching or anything, it's just literally a slow process of placing them in line. These are all lockers, all contain various factions armor. I'm so organized. But yeah, those helmets are manually placed. That was me proving that. The placement manually is a nightmare. I'm sad to say, I have a feeling that I don't go into the general store on this walkthrough, but if you check the main video, the placement of the shop items on the shelves in that store was miserable. I'm sure there are mods to do it, but I don't use them. Yeah, that's just to show you that, again, it's just discovering the little foibles that some of the build items have, that specific light tracking you can put in, but just didn't have any light. As much as it looked good and it looked like a lab lighting, it just didn't create enough light. So somehow I discovered that you could run that bog standard light bulb into the light tracking, and I think they're the brightest light in the game. I don't think it's even close. That's all my small armor collection, because of, again, just a little plug for the channel. If you check out my Pridwin Armor Museum build, you'll see the extent of what an armor collection can be if you're a lunatic, such as I. I mean, that building was far easier. That's just a standard build on the foundations crack. What am I showing here? Ah, yes. This is just, again, this comes with the VR Workshop. The VR Workshop is something I've just discovered exists. I didn't, to the extent that I now know that it is like a virtual 3D sort of environment that you go into the mine pods and you can choose one of 3. And the wasteland, the capital wasteland, desert island, I can't remember what the third one is, and you can choose little bespoke environments, and it's like a dev kit was what it looks like. It's sort of like that sort of 3D Axis sort of aspect dev kit looking thing. But yeah, that was me proving that's just the Raider mannequin sunk into the ground. Now all of these bits and pieces that you can see that I used to add sort of contextual decoration is from the Nuka world. And there's a very fetching Institute armor, painted pink. Yeah, that's it. Again, please watch the How to Builds for far more in-depth sort of tricks, but that's just using the rug glitch to run in what are they called? Nuke containers.
My back hurts, my feet hurt.
Oh, those Captain Cosmos posters. Let me know, anyone in the comments, if anyone else has gone to the trouble I did. I clocked there was Captain Cosmos posters. There's a collection of 4 that you need to get, and they're randomly generated by the, what's it called? The vending machines that come with that DLC, which is for the spaceman armor suit that you saw. And then you have to collect the dolls, which you can actually buy from certain vendors, which is what you have to do. But it took me far too long to realize, because I got the first 2 pretty easily, because it generates a random one each time. I think it's 4 dolls or 6 dolls or something, and it gives you a poster. But you just end up getting the same one over and over again. But I eventually realized all you need to do is make a save and keep reloading until you get the poster you're after, because it will just keep giving you the same one over and over again. But I got there. Yep, all of they are from, again, Settlement Ambush Pack. Gnarly little spikes. This is me desperately trying to remember where they are. I remember now. They're in with the walls, idiot. But anyway, I'm giving you a nice little demonstration of what's available in the settlement ambush. No, in the walls. I haven't edited this chaos out, by the way, because I wanted to make sure that this was a smooth walk around the settlement, so no one can accuse me of editing mods. That's the last time. Yeah, I mean, anyone who's watched my videos will know I always talk about the benefits of the settlement ambush kit. Yeah, that's how I make those signs. It's literally just a case of you build a little structure in the front and then delete it so that that wall structure's floating, basically. And then you can literally just slide pillars into the back of them. And you end up with a nice, cool-looking sign. That said, this is me trying to figure out. I totally couldn't remember how I'd made them at all. So you'll see me fiddle around with some floor pieces now. And genuinely, it's far easier than I'm making it. As I say, just make yourself a little structure, delete it, slide your poles in. Well, hey. So the next bit is looking at Slocum's Joe. Again, this is definitely Creation Club. I couldn't have done this without the Creation Club back. It just lends such a cool kind of sort of crossover, something that's been sort of rescued from before the war and brought forward into a wasteland setting, but it's still sort of that funky pseudo 50s vibe, which I love. And then as you can see in the background, again, I'm just showing you it's all the Nuka World aspect. Nuka Cafe, sorry, should I say, but it is a mixture of the Nuka World stuff and the Nuka Cafe Creation Club content. Slocum's Joe kit comes with handy armor paint jobs as well. I'm gonna have a look. I think I've called this the Nuka Minute Cafe, but I can't. Somebody did point out in the comment section, by the way, I can't remember the name, but shout out to you how funny they found the names I gave all the shops, so thank you for pointing that out. It's nice when someone recognises your craziness. But yeah, naming them. I have my own chain stores now. Most of my settlements have a Guns and Blammo or an Armageddon. Yeah, I'm just pointing out that all of these strip lights come from the Halloween pack. Again, Halloween pack is, funnily enough, one of those packs that sort of out of nowhere adds such a great sort of, for such a small little edition, you get a great little sort of new dynamics to the lighting, because all of the strip lights they come with, or chain lights, sorry, whatever they want to call them, or something like that. And that's from the Giddy Up Buttercup Armor DLC. That's all from the Nuka World DLC. And then this is my little Halloween bar, Hallow-Ian's. Now that's sort of made by layering rug glitches. That I can pull it all out. What I've done there is I'll have glitched in the units first, then deleted the rug, which is why they've sank down a little bit, and then I will have put all the suitcases on another rug and glitched those in. But now when I move it in and out, it'll all move as one. God, so much work. Yes. The palm trees. The palm trees were a source of many people's evidence to the fact that I built these with mods. Built this settlement with mods. Doesn't matter how much I think I'm not going to talk about it, I come back to it. The palm trees, and this actually took some work for me because it was obviously some kind of Game of Year edition, because it automatically loaded in the VR Workshop, unless VR Workshop was added to everyone at some point. But yeah, it comes with the VR Workshop. There's an entire desert island section where there's tiki wall structures, tiki bars, tiki stools, surfboards, and a load of parasols, etc., and a deck chair. So yes, you didn't get me on that. It's just showing that with the Wild Man rags. Anyone who's played the Nuka World can know that he must have fallen specific fate for me to end up with those Wild Man rags. You can see there just a little pop in and pop out. I think it's the further we get into this section. For some reason, I don't really know why it's this section, because the eagle-eyed of you may notice that I've actually, for this, I've pulled out all of the city walls and a huge chunk of the water farm to try and get back some stability, and it is now way more stable than it was. But this part of the settlement is where all of the frame dropping and the big sort of... I think when I go and have a look in the gym at the moment, if I turn around and too quick, the whole thing disappears. Yeah, there's the treehouse. Again, all of the sort of individual decor that gives it here, this all comes from the Nuka World DLC that you get. Not sure what he's supposed to be. And then inside, again, it was just a happy accident that those posters stuck to the wall. But those posters themselves come from the arcade cabinet. It was one of the first things I bought or got a hold of was the arcade cabinets. I don't know why, but I did. I think, in hindsight, one of the big issues is as soon as you power them up, they make that bloody music start, and it never stops. Again, just showing you how to glitch those in. There's Sheffield. That's an ironic joke, isn't it? To make that's not very nice, really, when you think about it. To make Sheffield run a bar. Those who know. And here, this is Hancock's. Someone in the comments asked and said, again, is one of the potential issues. That's me just deciding I should have put snakes at the front, and that's just, even though it's a finished build now, but I was like, oh, gutted. That would have looked great. Someone said you can't make Hancock work at a bar, and you can, clearly. But he doesn't, and it's the same because I've got Kate working at the gun shop as well, at Guns and Blammo, and you can get them working there, and it looks great for videos. There you go. Bye-bye, settlement. You can get them working there, but if you ever want to use it as a shop, it's useless because there's no shop dialogue. They will stand behind there, and they'll wipe the bench down, as most of the shop owners do. And their usual sort of ambient dialogue crack will continue. But there's no shop dialogue. You can't actually use the shop as a shop. So it looks great for the sake of a settlement video, but practicality-wise, not so useful. Yeah, and this is just a little boxing ring that I made out of the wire fencing. There you go. That's the issues I get here. I think I said it a few times in the comment section. Crashing hasn't been such a big issue with this, strangely enough. I mean, I'm on PS5, as I keep saying. But things like that, that's a problem. That was a problem from quite early on in the build. And again, someone in the comment was asking about the doggies. That's Mishka. And then I think if we go over here, because Gracie seems to just love hanging out with dog meat. And that's Gracie. Now you get these guys. You can get mutant hounds just by using the traps from whatever. I can't remember the name of the DLC. There's a DLC which is bespoke to trapping animals. If you have a look at my battle arena, you'll see. Build, you'll see a lot of them. What am I up to? Oh, here we go. Again. No mods. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that was vaguely interesting and you didn't mind me rambling on too much. If you're still here, please like and subscribe and keep an eye out because I do have some major builds to come. Ones that even dwarf the scale of this guy.